Hello, friends. Welcome back from spring break. We're going to jump right back into fractions with Unit 7. And our first lesson is all about comparing fractions. And we're going to be looking at fractions that might not be the same size. It's got to think back to that pizza. And do you want the bigger piece or the smaller piece? So we're going to use a lot of greater than and less than. And I have the fraction strips here, as you can see. There is another a tool that if you want to have it as something to play with or look at, if you go into the Think Central, these are the I tools. So you can see that you can use this little fractions, and there's different activities you can do with them. You can add them, you can show them, you can explore with them. I might show that to you in a bit. But let's look at page 249 first. And we're going to circle the greater fraction. So I'm going to show you that 1/12, if I'm looking at this, here is 1/12, right? And here is 1/2. Which one's greater? Yep. Think of the bigger piece. So if I have 3/8, where's my 3/8? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 3/8, 1, 2, 3. And 1/8. What's the bigger piece? 3/8. 2/5. 2/5. Or 2/6. 2/5 is bigger. Are you starting to visually see the difference here, friends? Today it's all about the visuals. I want you to really use these strips and use these visuals because we're going to build on this comparing fractions thing and equivalent fractions throughout this week. So you really have to have a good base knowledge of what the size would look like. So here I have 1/3, and I'm going to look at 1/8. So the bigger piece is going to be 1/3. You should be filling this in with me as I'm doing it. You can also, I think this is page 248. You should have 248, so you could visually look on there as well. You might not have something to put over this so that you can circle it, but you can do an imaginary circle. Tomorrow in class, we're going to have the sheet protectors, and you could use your expo marker on it. 4/12 and 5/12. Well, just knowing your knowledge about fractions, which one's going to be bigger on that one? 12ths are here. Here's 4/12. And this is 5/12. So we know that 5/12 is bigger. Just like this 1/3 or 2/3, which one's bigger? 2/3. 7/10 or 5/10, we should know that one. 7/10 is bigger than 5/10 because it's more pieces. 3/6 or 3/8. Now you're talking about different sizes. So we want to look at 3/6 and 3/8. Which one's bigger? 3/6. So now we did the circling thing. Now we're going to make a statement true, greater than or less than, all right? Greater than or less than. And you can still use our strips to help us out. 3/10, finding my tenths, 1, 2, 3, is greater than or less than 3/8. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to say it's less than. 3/8 is bigger. If you're looking at 8/10, we're just going to go down the line here. 8/10, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops. So that's 8/10 right there. Or 8/12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like 8/10 is greater than 8/12. All right. Next one. 7/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is greater than or less than 7/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7/8. 7/10 is less than 7/8. Hopefully you're starting to visually see that difference in the groups. 3/6. 1, 2, 3. And 3/5. 1, 2, 3. So 3/6 is less than 3/5. Well, 2/6 and 3/6, I think we can do it without looking because we know. So here's 3/6 and here's 2/6. Which one's greater? 3/6. 5/100ths or 4/100ths? Which one is going to be bigger? I hear you saying it. 5/100ths is greater than 4/100ths. We're going to do Puzzled Penguin in at our table tomorrow, at our table time. So if you want to try it, you can, but I'm not expecting you to do that on your own. I just wanted you to get a basis of the visuals. So we will do Puzzled Penguin, so make sure you have 249 and 250 and 248 in class tomorrow. Explain how to compare fractions with the same denominator, but different numerators. Well, if they're the same denominator, it's pretty easy because we know how many pieces there are. So if I have a bunch of 12ths, and I have 6/12ths, and I have 5/12ths, I know that all those pieces are the same size. I just have 6 on the one side and 5 on the other. So a way to fill this out would be if denominators are the same, okay, so if your denominator, and here's my example, 5/12ths and 6/12ths. If I want to know greater than or less than, I'm comparing them. Remember, when we compare, we look at the similarities, we look at the differences, and we want to know which one's bigger, which one's smaller. So if the denominator's the same, then compare the numerators. The fraction with the greater numerator is the greater fraction. So make sure you hit pause right now and write this explanation out, because this is really important to understand when your denominators are the same. The next thing we're going to do is explain how to compare fractions with the same numerator but different denominators. So if you have, for example, 2/12ths and 2/3, numerators are the same, you're going to then compare the denominators. So you're going to look at your bottom denominators. The fraction with the lesser denominator is the greater fraction. Remember, the less pieces, the bigger piece of pizza. So if I had a pizza that was cut into 8 pieces or a pizza that was cut into 4 pieces and I was only going to get one slice, I want a piece of pizza out of the one that's cut out of 4, because that's going to be a way bigger piece than the one on the 8 with the cut of 8. So here, 2/12ths is going to be less than 2/3. So these are the major ways that you're going to be comparing fractions. Denominators are the same, you look at the denominators, the numerators. If your numerators are the same, you look at the denominators. So looking at 18 and 19, Bayo kept a list of birds that visited his feeder in one day. He noticed that 2/5 were finches and 2/6 were wrens. Did more finches or wrens visit the bird feeder? Tell how you know. Well, this follows our explanation of number 17. Your numerators are the same, so we're going to look at the denominators. Our denominators have 6 pieces or 5 pieces. I want the pizza that has less pieces, right? So I know that Bayo had more finches. visit his feeder? How do you know? Here's the explanation part. So here's your explanation. You're taking it exactly from what we said in number 17. There were more finches that visited his feeder. I know this because the numerators are the same, so you compare denominators. 5 is less than 6, right? So there were more finches. And then up here it says the fraction with the lesser denominator is the greater one. So we know that 2/5 is greater than 2/6. You might want to pause it. Make sure you write out this explanation so that you get that into your mind and reread it so you hear the explanation again. Marielle had a box of baseball cards. She kept 3/8 of the cards and gave away 5/8 of the cards to Javier. Who had more of the cards? Well, we see that the denominators are the same, so we're going to focus on the numerators. So just by looking at the numerators, I know that Javier had the most cards. Then I'm going to write my explanation by looking at what I said in number 16. So Javier had more cards because with both denominators the same, you compare the numerators. And the numerators, we know that 3 is less than 5, 5 is greater than 3, so 5/8 is greater. So in this last one here, we are going to write the fractions 10/12, 5/12, and 7/12 in order from smallest to greatest, from least to greatest. And the denominator is the same, so what are we going to focus on? That's right, the numerator. So if we want the smallest fraction first, we're going to pick the smallest numerator first. So that's going to be 5/12. The next largest one would be 7/12. And the biggest fraction here is 10/12. We are going to do a lot more with this tomorrow. This is just the introduction lesson of how to compare fractions. And we're talking about you can use your fraction tiles. Please, 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 please make sure that you have 248, 249, and 250 in class tomorrow because you're really going to need those pieces to be able to do our work. Have a great afternoon. Make sure to fill out the Google form. There's going to be a 5-question Google form. So make sure to hit that. That way I'll know whether you watched the movie or not. Have fun.